Everyone wants to build big, impressive things in Minecraft. But when you're building this big, where do you even begin to start? Over the years, I have built trees of every kind, ranging from the smallest saplings to towering giants to skinny little twigs to colossus monstrosities that fill the skyline. Singular trees, forests, them all. But building big isn't just about size. It's about making something that makes your world come alive. So from the small sapling to forests that stretch beyond sight, each block needs to carry a rhythm and a balance between chaos and control. And when it all comes together, you get something truly magical. Join me on this journey, and I'll show you my process to building big in Minecraft. Hello there, beautiful pixels. My name is Alaydriem, and welcome back to another How to Build episode here on Truly Bedrock Season 7, where in today's episode, I'm going to be showing you my tips and tricks for how to build truly gargantuan, gorgeous, beautiful natural structures in survival Minecraft. And while I'm by no means an expert, I've picked up a lot of tricks and tips along the way on how to build these truly gargantuan structures. So grab your pen, grab your editor, and let's dive in to making Minecraft beautiful. Now, there's a lot of ways that you could go about building a 200 block high colossus such as this. Some people, they just have the natural talent for it. They can open their mind's eye, start laying down blocks, and when they're done, it's right there in front of them. For the rest of us, however, I have a more straightforward approach that takes advantage of a combination of 3D modeling software, block voxelation, and Structura files to help bring your vision into the game. All of these tools are free and publicly available, and in many cases, the models you use can be free as well, depending upon where you source them from. And since deciding what to build, at least for me, is usually the hardest part, let's start there. Now, there is a plethora of online resources from where you can get 3D models from. Many are free if you're looking at something like Thingiverse, or if you're looking for something that is a little more detailed, you can visit a site like cgtrader.com or something similar to that. These websites have tons of 3D models that you can either download or pay a pretty small price for in order to build. I generally will like to look for bonsai trees when I'm building these types of things because they have the right kind of curves and twists and turns that really can help bring a build to life in a way that a more traditional tree really doesn't do justice for. Once you have your model selected, you're going to want to import it into one of your favorite 3D modeling programs. If you're an expert on Blender, by all means, bring it into Blender and make some changes. But if you're like me and you need something a little more simpler, MeshMixer, which is an old product from Autodesk, is a really good alternative. This allows you pretty intuitive tools that you can use in order to really change how your tree looks. Now, no 3D model that you download is likely going to be perfect. There's usually going to be things that you want to change about it. And if you're an expert with Blender, have at it. But for me, I generally find that using MeshMixer gets me 99% of the way there, where I can do things such as cut off part of this tree that I either want to remove, or in the scenario that I have going here, cut a component off, re-import the original model, and then combine these two meshes back together so that I have a tree with maybe some more robust branches, maybe something that just looks a little bit fuller on both sides of the tree. Additionally, while I'm at here, I usually am going to want to take away a few things as well. So an example here, this base is not something that I'm going to want to model inside of the game. It's something that I'm almost certainly going to remove. And I can use the very simple plane cut tool, the very same tool I used in order to add an additional branch to this tree, just to remove away all these extra components that I don't want to build in the game. Once I'm satisfied with the rough shape that I have inside of MeshMixer, I'm going to go ahead and export that as an STL or OBJ file and then import it into an online tool like this online voxelizer. And the beauty of using an online tool like this is that it can generally handle whatever you throw at it, and it'll scrub away any of the imperfections that you have in your model. From here, I'm going to go ahead and export a couple different sizes, usually ranging from about 85 to 145 blocks, and then export them as a Minecraft.schematic file, which you may be thinking, I didn't know that those work in Bedrock. And the answer is they don't. But I have a special tool that will allow me to make them work in Minecraft Bedrock. And that tool is called Amulet, which you can basically think of as the Swiss Army knife of world editing, both on Minecraft Bedrock and Minecraft Java Edition. It is a very, very versatile tool that lets you do just about anything that you can imagine as it relates to world editing, which in my case is opening up a Minecraft Bedrock world and then importing the schematic files that I just exported from my online voxelizer. And my general approach here is I want to see what the object I'm building is going to look like once I actually import it into the world. It's going to look plain and simple at the moment because I haven't added any of the details that are really going to make it pop. But my goal here isn't to solve all of the nitty-gritty details. It's really just to solve the size and the positioning. So generally what I will do is I'll import maybe 5 or 6 of the models I generated at various different sizes. Go ahead, tinker with those, maybe try a different model to see if it looks a little bit better, and just keep tinkering with the size and positioning until I'm really satisfied that what I'm going to build is actually going to be the thing that I'm going to bring into the game. This process doesn't really take that long, but depending upon how much time you want to devote to it, can be a little bit overwhelming. So generally what I recommend is just find something you like and then go from there. You can then go ahead and save Amulet, close out of the world, and then open your world either in Minecraft Java or Bedrock Edition. This is Truly Bedrock Season 7, as we have it at the time that I was recording. And what I like to do here is just kind of explore what things look like from the actual player perspective. So I've pasted this tree in. Again, there has no texture here, but I want to see what does it look like? What does it feel like while I'm walking through the world? And sometimes, more importantly, how does the lighting and the texturing going to affect this? So for instance, I'll look at this for both night and day, depending upon if I figure out how to enable cheats in a world. And then from here, I'll see, does the lighting and the shadows that Minecraft naturally have inside of the game help change how things look? And as you can see here, there is quite a bit of shadows that will fall in here, even though this is going to be largely made out of leaves and then a couple different types of spruce. This helps me really identify where I'm going to need additional lighting at inside of the build, as well as deciding where I'm going to need to focus the attention on. And again, I'll repeat this for a variety of different tree types, tree models, edits that I've made to the tree, and then also sizes as well. From here, I'm then going to use Amulet again in order to load this into a flat world, because this is really going to let me kind of see and visualize what it looks like in here. And this is where we're going to start adding in some of the detail for this. A couple things that I'm always going to do ahead of time is I'm going to generate my first structure block of this. This is going to be an MC structure file, and I will use this in order to generate structure packs later. Structure packs with Structura or Holoprint allow me to easily kind of tinker with the world and then bring them into the game. Usually these are going to be much, much larger than what the actual build is going to be, but that's okay. With those types of tools, you're going to want to make multiple structure blocks anyway. And again, I'm just kind of setting the rough dimensions of where I'm going to have my structure blocks at, because this is going to help me pinpoint where I need to place these in the world and help me subdivide this model just a little bit so that while I'm working with it inside of the game, it's actually buildable. From here, I normally start on building out the branch, because with these types of models, it's usually the easiest thing to try and see. So the bark, the outer layer of the tree is what I'm going to be focusing on first. And once I have that in place, I'll take a quick snapshot of it, and then I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all these leaves. We can take advantage of the fill command and a bunch of other tools in order to do that. But basically, I'm going to have several structures of this model that exist. One that is just going to be the bark itself, which doesn't take that long to manually replace inside of the game. And then also a separate structure that is then just the leaves. This makes it very easy for me to toggle these two different structures on and off inside of the game using Structura, and also helps me kind of reduce the load that I need to have, because using these tools in game can, with a structure this large, be pretty computational intensive, especially if you're on a lower end PC. Now, one thing that you'll notice here is that I'm not focusing on detail at all. I'm not going to focus on making the leaves highly detailed, and I'm not going to focus on making the bark highly detailed, because normally for me, I will do several detail passes after I've brought the structure into the world. Getting this object into the world really is more important than deciding whether I use kind of a lighter or a darker texture type block. I can save those decisions until I'm at a point where I can see how this looks in the world, and I can see how the shadows and the vibrant visuals and all these other things play into making this look once it's where I want to have it. But even though I don't usually do this ahead of time, it is of course something that you can do. As you can see here for a tree I've done previously on Truly Bedrock Season 6, I do have kind of a preference of block palettes here. Spruce, I think, makes a very good base block, along with acacia, mud, and then also muddy mangrove root. Really, I feel helps kind of define the shape and the color of the tree once you have it in here. It gives you a way that you can accentuate accents and kind of make things look the way that you want them to look. The leaves are the exact same way. When I'm thinking about leaves, I'm thinking about the older growth in a tree on spring is going to generally be in the back, and then at the tips of the branches is where you're going to see the fresher, the more green type blocks, which normally I'll use azalea for this just because it has a little bit of more vibrancy attached to it. I'm also going to be looking at things like whether I want to add vines, what kind of lights I want to put inside of it, whether it's glowstone or frog lights, and then what additional types of texturing I'm going to want to add kind of to the bark itself to make it have that additional level of pop. But like I said earlier, these are all decisions that I'll normally wait to have until I bring this tree fully into the game on my survival server. Once I have the tree and the leaves roughly shaped out, kind of just filled in all the way that I want, I'm going to go ahead and export my MC structure blocks using the structure block tool in Minecraft Bedrock. And then I'm going to use a tool like Structura or Holoprint to generate these armor stands with these ghost blocks. This is how I'm going to actually bring this build into the game, by placing these armor stands down, generating these ghost blocks, and then layer by layer building the tree until I'm satisfied with the way that it looks. And again, I'm focusing primarily on the overall structure itself. I'm not worried about the details at this moment. I'm worried about bringing it into the game, which, while to me that's the easier part, can be the more time consuming of the two, especially if you are doing this in survival. And if you are deciding to do this in survival, my recommendation for you is to use a tool like my Bedrock materials list, which can generate a materials list from structure blocks, or the built-in tools inside of Structura or Holoprint to generate yourself a materials list. Because if you're building big, you need to make sure that you have planned ahead and gotten all the materials that you need. For me, this build right here, it's going to look like it's going to be about 19,000 oak leaves, along with 16,000 spruce logs. No, not spruce pieces of wood that you get from chopping down a tree. No, you need 4 pieces of wood in order to make one of these logs. It is going to be a very, very resource intensive project, despite the fact that the whole thing is going to be hollow. I always recommend that you gather more resources than your numbers have, because you're going to be using and deleting things kind of just to tinker with things as you get the build going. From here, you basically need to go mining to gather all the resources that you need. In my case, I have all of these shulker boxes of materials that I had to collect. It is quite the collection here, and if you are not ready for it, make sure that you have plenty of shulkers, make sure that you have more materials than you initially counted, and make sure that you have more materials of the various different types that you think you may be interested in. So for instance, I didn't add glowstone to my list, but I knew I wanted to kind of light up the inside with this. From here, gather up your resources inside of your inventory. My recommendation, try to keep it so that it fits with one hotbar, especially if you have 2 tools in there and maybe some food. And once you have everything loaded up, it's time to get started on the build. For this build, I'm using Structura to guide each layer, starting at the roots and then working all the way up. Each level of the hologram as I'm building represents another slice of the tree, and I simply move through each layer one at a time. At first, it can be really hard to see what this is going to look like, especially when you're at the very beginning. A lot of what the structure blocks generate don't always make sense, and it takes a while for you to start seeing the entire scattered shape come together. But as more blocks go down, you'll start to see your creation finally take shape. The roots will spread, the trunk will rise, branches will stretch outwards. Every piece will begin connecting to the other. Once I reach the leaves is generally when I decide to start doing any type of texturing, because this is the one spot that needing to come back and do later can be really frustrating and difficult to do. So generally while I'm building the leaves, I'm going to be using a type of light block to help fill those leaves out just a little bit more and give it a little bit of luminance, because otherwise the build is going to look exceptionally dark, and that darkness isn't quite the contrast that I like to see in my trees. I much prefer them to be very well lit and to help have them stand out in a way that kind of just leaving them natural without the leaves doesn't really do justice for. You can certainly omit the leaves so that you have a really dark and eerie view, but I would recommend, if you're doing that, to maybe consider having a texture pack to really help give you that level of brightness and contrast that you want. Generally, my approach for the leaves and dealing with the canopy is to try to keep the old growth, kind of the darker leaves, the dark oak, and then try to keep the lighter leaves, like the azalea, kind of on the outside. I will use a combination of birch just to kind of help give it a little bit more shape, especially where I want some darker shadows, where the game isn't naturally giving me those shadows, but that's something that I usually will do a second detail pass on just because of how I want to look at the build. It's not fast work, and it's not meant to be, so grab your favorite movie or series of movies and just hunker down until you're done with it. Eventually, you'll find your rhythm, and then your vision will start to solidify, and by the time you add the last layer, your hologram will be gone, and what you have will be replaced. Now, I'm the type of person who likes to have everything well thought out and planned, but I'm also the type of person who cannot visualize anything in my head until I see it. So I usually will come back and do a few detail passes of the build after I have everything up and running. And one of the first things that I'm going to do is come up here to the leaves and make sure that I'm balancing all of these leaves. There'll be places where I maybe feel like I got the color wrong on the more greener azalea leaves, and I'll add those in or adjust those. And then also I'll come in, and every now and then where I want to accentuate kind of a darker part of the branches, I'll go ahead and place in some birch leaves just to help make that area pop a little bit more and have a little bit of shadows. The things that I'll do around the trunk, however, are a little bit different. In this build, I was keeping it rather simple, but muddy mangrove roots are your secret in order to make this more blended and feeling just a little bit more natural. Muddy mangrove roots have the ability to have the bark thingy on them kind of go upwards, as you see here, along with some of these pale moss carpets. Anything that you can do to accentuate the height, so vertical type blocks, anything that has a vertical texture is a really good thing to add. The other things that I recommend that you add in here is landscaping. Landscaping is so very important because it blends your build, whatever it may be, with the rest of the surrounding area, and it makes it feel like it's natural and it actually belongs here where you place it at. But another thing when you're doing landscaping is making sure that you have this place actually mob proof and that you have it super duper safe. What I will like to do is just come over here with a bunch of moss carpets because it's kind of the same color as grass, and then just either place it over a torch or my preferred block, which is these glowstone blocks right here. Because if you break it, you know, like you're not finagling with a torch afterwards. I think that's a really, really simplistic approach in order to make sure your build is well lit. Once you have all that though, it's time for you to sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor, because your build is now done and more importantly, it is beautiful and big. And beautiful pixels, that is my process for making large, beautiful builds here in Minecraft Bedrock in survival. It is a process that I have used several times now. I find it super duper reliable and, more importantly, consistent and repeatable, which makes it a joy to build these things in survival rather than a massive boredom. But if you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor. These videos do take a lot longer to both record and produce than my other Let's Plays. I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like. Consider subscribing if you like these types of videos. I plan on having more of them and already have a couple out. And if this video is new, consider hitting the hype button. Hopefully that doesn't become like a really dated comment by this, just so that we can get more exposure to this video. Your watch time and your views and your comments really help grow this channel, and they really help me personally keep wanting to make these types of videos because it's the type of videos that you seem to like. Beautiful pixels, as always, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Goodbye.